You've got the look in your eyes. You're on a mission, burning ambition. You've got your eyes on the prize. You've gotta rise to the challenge. Show 'em what you got. Suffer to take what's yours. You are kings now, curse of titans.
Hey everyone, this is Anthony with Tornado Tag Podcast, here back again with our interview series. This is going to be episode number 9. Before we get into anything, make sure you check below all the links that we're going to talk about, whether it be merch links or where you can book, or where you can go see promotions where this talent works at, will all be in the links below. Also, you can check out our merch page and or the donation link and show some support and grab some Tornado Tag Podcast merch. Helps us grow and get better equipment and keep doing what we're doing here. So on the phone is talented superstar here, Jason Drake. I've been watching some of your stuff online, but I've only had to see you perform live once, and this was a while ago. This was at the Hamburg Fieldhouse for Outbreak Wrestling, which is a promotion that's near and dear to me because they were the first local indie promotion that I got to experience, and their roster's cool. The people who run them are fantastic, and they're just really good people, and I can't wait for this whole lockdown and everything and the COVID and all the disease or whatever's going around to end so we can get back to wrestling and we can see more of it and see amazing talent like yourself.
Oh, for sure. And thank you for having me. Definitely go check out their merch and support these guys, please. Anthony's really, really cool dude from the short times we've interacted and this interview so far, a little chat before the interview. But definitely support them, and it's good to be here. It's good to be talking to people in this quarantine state we're in.
Yeah, I'm trying to get as much conversation as I can in. I've been recording, because I do 5 different podcasts. So I've been recording almost every single day since the beginning of this new year. And then once this quarantine started, I tripled up my production. So I'm trying to build a big backlog so if we do go back to normal and we can go out, I have enough content that I can take the rest of the summer off and enjoy myself and have a good time. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, whatever summer we get, right?
Yeah, whatever little we have, because all my events I was looking forward to are all canceled. But yeah, so Jason, when did you become a pro wrestling fan? When did it all start for you?
So it started later than most. I mean, I tried to watch it, but honestly, I was in a household with a single mom, so she didn't want me and my brother beating the living daylights out of each other, so she was just anything that was majorly violent, she wasn't all about it. And I was born in 92, so that was right when the Attitude Era was at the end of it, but it was still kind of had.
You were born in 92?
So my mom was just, I was born in 92,
okay.
I'm 28.
Okay.
So my mom was just like, no, I'm not really about that. I mean, she wouldn't even let me watch Dragon Ball Z or anything, because Vegeta got death beamed by Frieza once when I was trying to explain, oh, it's fine to watch. She's like, damn you, Frieza, death beam, and she's like, off.
Yep. Yeah. I was a middle school kid. I'm dating myself, but I was a middle school kid during the Attitude Era. So I got one of my first detentions ever was crotch chopping a teacher and saying "suck it." So yeah, that was my childhood.
Dude, I wish see. I'm envious that I don't have stories that early of that.
Yeah.
I wish I did, but no. I still got made fun of for liking wrestling, and even at an older age. Because when I really was able to get into it, I remember in 7th grade I met my best friend, Josh, who is still one of my closest friends. We just went and saw Disturbed not long ago. He bought the tickets. He's like, dude, I'm taking you. I need someone to go. So he's a great dude. But he got me into wrestling when I was about 13. We became friends in 7th grade, and he brought me over to his house. He's like, you got to check this out. And he threw on the ladder match between Edge and Christian and the Hardys at the Terry Invitational Tournament. And that match is still one of my favorites to this day. But I remember,
was it the triple threat? Are you talking about the triple threat one? Was them and the Dudley Boys, or just the two teams? Okay,
just the two teams where they fought for the money at the top of the ladder, the bag of money, and it was Terry was going to be I think it was the Terry Invitational Tournament for her managing rights or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they came out as the new Brood. They were with Gangrel.
Yeah.
But so they walked out, and I see these guys come out, like rock music playing, looking like rockers, crazy hair, doing flips, throwing ladders at each other, climbing to the top of these like 10-foot ladders and just jumping off them. I'm like, what is this? Like, so unlike anything I'd been able to get glimpses of when my mother wouldn't be looking. Like, this is the first experience I had with, like, you know, the acrobatics, the high flying, the craziness, and I immediately was just drawn to it. And I think that's why Jeff's been one of my favorites. But from then, you know, I would just always be over Josh's house, and we got WrestleMania, whatever WrestleMania was on that year, wherever I could find it. From then on, I was really sucked into it. And then I found TNA, which was great because at the time when I found them, Jeff had just left the WWE. Like, we were going through all that. Like, I watched. That was
a rough patch for Jeff. That was a rough patch for him.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. So I continued watching, and I got really, from like 13 to 15, 13 to 16, I got really into WWE. And then when Jeff left, I found out about TNA, and then I found out they had it on demand.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have to like wait for a certain episode or be home because, you know, they always had Friday Night SmackDown. But, you know, if you're a 15-year-old and it's Friday, you're hanging out on a bike with your friends or playing a video game somewhere, you don't really watch the wrestling.
Yep.
Because I didn't have a lot of friends that were into it other than Josh. But so we'd be out doing stuff, but that was an episodic thing I could follow. And so I started to delve more into character work and following the storylines a bit better. It wasn't just the matches anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to kind of really get into the sport as a whole, to the point that honestly, like, and I call it a sport because there's so much athleticism behind it. I think, like, you can call it sports entertainment, but like, I've had hospital visits, injuries and stuff, but these guys were out here being athletic as anything. And I remember the first people that kind of shut me down on it were like my stepdad, because I get so into it. He just didn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't quite grasp it. He does now. Like, he's one of my biggest supporters now. They come to my shows all the time in Maryland. But dude, he didn't get it. He didn't get why I was so wrapped up in it. He didn't get how I got so behind it. And I'm like, they're really messing their bodies up. He's like, it's not real. And I'm like, it's staged, but there's a reality to it.
It's a predetermined match, but what happens in between those ropes happens between those ropes.
Exactly.
Yes,
like,
a punch is coming in,
out.
and the punch isn't meant to knock the guy out. But there is guys who go out there and say, if you don't legit at least make contact with that punch, I'm going to have a problem with it because I want it to look good.
Yeah, and then they'll turn around and punch you hard because you didn't make them look good.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole
or you punch them too hard and they give you one back anyway. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Receipt.
Yep.
That's called a receipt. And I'm not even going to do that. There's a guy I love who got me once good. He was like, I was waiting the whole time for a receipt. You never threw one. I was like, it's because you gave me one good one. If you give me two good ones, I'd get you. But he was like, I was waiting for it. But no, so I found TNA. I really started getting to that. And then by the time I was like 19 and found my way into college, that was the first time I really found a group of people who watched it, who got together to watch it. And it was my friend Jeremy and his siblings. He has like 5 siblings, and all of them watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just go over there, and whenever there was a pay-per-view, we'd all go there. And whenever there was a big night of shows going on, we'd be there. And it was just the place to go hang and watch wrestling with a group of people that weren't going to pick on you. You know,
Yeah.
They weren't going to. Like, I was in music at the time. I was in a band, and my bandmates didn't get it. They were like, why are you so wrapped up in that? And I'm like, it's just my thing. They're like, all right, whatever.
What instrument do you play?
So, I am a vocalist.
And
I can sing and scream.
I bet you're a badass vocalist because you use wrestling gimmicks behind your stage performance, right?
Oh, dude, totally, totally.
Every musician,
No, but,
every
like,
musician I know who's also a pro wrestling fan are the best to go watch because they put on great shows because they know they mesh the two, music and wrestling. So they're like, I need to go out there and look like a badass or act like a badass or do some badass shit.
Exactly. Oh, it was so much fun. So that was my band. I'm not in music. I do music like with like friends now. We'll do jam stuff. Well, if I get an opportunity to go and jam with some friends or feature on a track, like I just got asked literally the other day by a friend of mine who we played a show with back when I was like 18 or 19. He goes, dude, I just want to let you know you inspired me and I'm doing music right now. And he's like, you were one of the most talented singers I ever got to like be around, and I just wanted to know if you'd want to like feature on a track or something. I was like, dude, that's awesome. I was like, I had no idea I had that much of an impact. I don't think that much of myself, but I'm glad it helped you. And
Yeah.
dude, totally. And he was like blown away by that. But I was like, I always get blown away by fan response, whether it's music or wrestling. Like, this is me having fun. This is me coming out and doing what I love and what I have a passion for. And I love entertaining. And when people are entertained by it or touched by it or want to come up and get a picture, like, it's always so touching and humbling.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things where it's like, I remember when I was going to see my favorite bands on the other side. I remember when I've been on the other side of a rail for any kind of live event or entertaining event where, like, I was just like, oh, those guys are so cool. How cool would it be to be one of them? And whenever I'd go to see a band, because as I said, I didn't have a lot of wrestling fans. So I didn't go to shows as a kid for wrestling, but I went to like bands. I went to see concerts when I was like 13 and 14. And I remember just, it was so cool whenever the musicians would come out and sign stuff or take pictures or what have you. And like, I love the ability to be able to do that for other people now.
Yeah.
Like, whenever there's, like, I remember in specifics one time I was wrestling Vic Ramon and Michael Zamadio, and there was a little girl who, like, I tweaked my ankle or something, you know, in the match. I didn't really hurt myself, but that was the story we were telling. And so I'm walking around like I'm really injured because I try to keep it real. Like, if I'm in front of the fans and I pulled an injury in the match, I'm going to keep it going. Like, I don't want you to break that reality while you're there. You know, afterwards, whatever have you. But while I'm there, I'm there. And if I'm going to be in front of those fans, I'm going to commit to whatever I just told in the ring so I don't break that reality with those fans. Because that's what you're there to do. You know, we all know nowadays it's just a show and this, that, and the fourth. But, like, there's a show, like in a movie, the actor doesn't turn around and be like, hey guys, I don't really not like him. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you're with it till the end of the story they're telling. So I try to keep it that way. But I remember this little girl walked up to me and she goes, oh, I'm really sorry that your ankle's hurt. Can you get down off of Matt's, because Matt was carrying him around. She goes, can you get down so I can have a picture? And I was like, oh, yeah, of course I can.
Yeah.
I was like, come here, for sure.
I always
come on, get over here.
I always tell people who listen to the podcast, I said, man, a lot of people think like perception. Like, I grind heavily on social media and I get my presence out there. So a lot of people, I think I've been told that people perceive me as I'm bigger than I am, not like egotistical wise, but like, I guess, like, because of my work ethic I put into promoting and the work I put in putting out content, I think people think I'm like,
I hear you,
killing it. And I mean, I'm doing well when it comes to that, but I'm not like a millionaire. I'm not making money on this. Spoiler alert, I'm not making shit on this. But so a lot of people, so when I reach out to
Dude,
people,
when
I reach out to people and I say like, hey man, feedback's really important. That goes for even professional wrestlers. Like, if you send someone a message, be like, hey, I was at your show last night and you did an amazing job, thank you for, you know, your hard work, that goes a long way. And especially when someone who is very creative, I know from my aspect, there's times where I go through like mental blocks where I'm like, am I doing this for the right reasons?
Dude.
Do people even give a shit?
Dude.
I see the numbers, like tons of people listen, but I get no feedback back. And it's like, man, if one person just, and then I get like in a rut, and then I get that, it's like the universe speaks to me. And I get that one person like, hey man, listen to last week's episode is really good. And I'm like, dude, you just made next week's episode. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly. And dude, Tom, I know how you are. I'm a creative through and through. Like, the other thing, if a lot of people don't know this about Jason Drake, I am a musician. I started out in music when I was 15. I've had bands all throughout. I still do music. I play 6 instruments now.
Wow.
If you count the voice as one, but I also play a little bit of saxophone. I got to pick it back up and get into it, but I play ukulele, bass, guitar, and piano as well.
Wow.
And I'm a writer. I'm working on a trilogy right now of books, and I'm an English major. Like, I love characters. I love creativity. I love theater. I think that's part of the reason why I jumped so heavily into wrestling, because at the core of it, it has all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You have characters, you have actors, you have stunts, you have acrobatics, you have writing. When you put together promos, you have to put that out there. I have to go out there sometimes and look at my best friend and make everyone in the world believe I hate my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are people that I trust with my life, but I'll walk out there and make you think that we are the world's worst enemies. And I love that you can create that story and everybody will buy into it and we're all there together and just having fun with it. So as a creator, like, I 100% understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
Especially the rut. And I love any positive feedback. I love critiques. I don't like when people just shoot on me for no reason, but like positive critiques, or a critique, like if you tell me I'm messing something up, but you have like a positive, like you like try this instead, or I know what you're going for, this, that, like if you're not just like beating me down, I will welcome the criticism.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? If you're just there to beat me down, I don't really want to hear it.
Yeah,
like,
if you're a guy who's never
never
taken a bump and you're telling me that I'm taking my bumps wrong, go somewhere with that.
Exactly. It's kind of like when, like, you know, I could take criticism. I took English classes, like my writing, people critiqued my creativity before, but it helped me grow.
Yep.
So I welcome that.
Awesome.
But I feel like we went on a tangent.
No,
go ahead.
Listen, this happens all the time. This is kind of the people who are listening are very prepared. Return listeners are very prepared. If they're brand new listeners because they're coming in for you, that's what we do here. They go on a lot of side tangents. I'm sure at some point in time he dropped a Dragon Ball Z reference. We're gonna get nerdy in a little bit, so just buckle up. So when you met your group of friends, were you guys all Impact fans, or were you for the most part watching WWE? What was your brand?
We had a mix. The group that was watching it every week together was WWE. Myself, I was watching both because WWE at the time did like.
No, I said
Jeff
Impact.
left,
I mean
TNA.
TNA. So I'm just.
TNA.
Yeah.
Well, it was TNA Impact. It's changed so many times and changed hands. But like, you know, Jeff was there, Homicide was there at the time, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles was still there at the time. So they had some prolific wrestlers in terms of, if you think of like a who's who of today.
Yes.
Like so many. Samoa Joe was there, Kurt Angle was there at the time. Like, there was some amazing wrestling. There were a lot of WWE guys that I knew, and it allowed me to kind of sink myself into it. And when I would throw it on, my buddy Josh would watch it. Like, if I found a good match, even though he was a WWE fan, I'd be like, check this out. And he'd watch it with me. Like, I still do that to him today with PWG and whatever there is out there.
Yeah.
I go to him and I'm like, bro, check this out. But, you know, we would watch that. We would hang out. And one of the guys who was there is a guy named Ray Byrne, who is a wrestler as well. And that's important because I became really good buds with him. And he was always like, come out to my wrestling show. Come out to my wrestling show. Well, like a month or two after he started bringing up the fact that he was a wrestler and doing all these shows and wanted me to go, we talked about this earlier, but I'll put it like podcast, definitely a good point for the story. I was hanging out with my friend Hillary, and she said, hey, I'm going to this party one night. And it's at my friend Jess's boyfriend Nick's house. And I went, okay, cool. Let's go check that out. Lo and behold, the person who is Skull, or Sickened, as everybody knows him today, but I didn't know that at the time.
Who will be next week's interview, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. Who will be next week's interview.
Who also just sent me a message. And said, because he said, well, who am I waiting for you to finish the interview with? So just to kind of go behind the curtain and break kayfabe podcast-wise here, as soon as I'm done this interview, I'm going to record next week's interview almost like immediately after this, and it's gonna be Nick. And when I told him I'm interviewing you, he's like, oh my god, that's awesome. Tell him I love him. Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, dude, I love Nick. He and I butt heads like brothers. we fight like siblings, but we always
they make
pick
the
back
best
up
friendships.
where we left off, just like it.
Yep.
Exactly. Like we fight forever. Like we always fight, but then we always. I mean, the fact that we still friends, I think, shows like the kind of care we have for one another. So he's literally like a sibling.
It's
we
funny
fight
because
like brothers.
I think the day I met you guys, I was supposed to pick up a Miles Millennium shirt, and he didn't send it with Nick. So I came with the show with money, and I was like, "Hey, I'm here to pick up the shirt from Miles." And Nick's like, "Oh, he never gave it to me." And I was like, "Oh, well, I have $20. I'm getting a Riot City shirt. I still have it to this day." Yeah.
There we go. There we go. I love Miles too. No, Miles is a good guy. Miles has come to hang out at Nick's house and train with us a lot.
You guys should do an angle where
we
you're
bumped
brothers
into-
or cousins or something.
Oh, me and Miles?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, dude. I was at a show. I was at 1CW out in Delaware, and someone was like, "Hey, Miles," and I went, "Oh God." No, they didn't. They think I'm. I walked in. I literally looked at. I was like, "Somebody thinks I'm you, by the way." He's like, "No way." I was like, "Yeah, I'm his taller brother," is what I told them.
It's funny because you actually look very similar to a friend of mine named John, who's actually a lead singer of a band. If you guys stood next to each other, people were like, "Oh shit!" But he's really. I'm not sure exactly. I remember how tall you are, but John's really tall. He's like over 6 foot. But yeah, you look.
I'm like 6. I'm like 6 foot even.
Yeah. He's tall. I'm 5'11", 6 foot, depending on how bad my back is messed up that day. But
Dude, I feel you on that.
yeah, but yeah, you guys can pass as twins too. When this is over, I'll send you a picture of him, and you could be like, "Holy shit!" Yeah.
Cool. So I show up at his house. You know, I'm talking to people. Holly's there, who, she's another important name to remember. But so I know her. I know like a couple people, but not really anybody there. So I'm just kind of talking, mingling, and I'm looking at his walls, and he's got like a DX poster and another Shawn Michaels poster. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then all of a sudden, that guy Rayburn, who I was talking about earlier, that I used to watch these wrestling shows with, and he wrestled, walks down the stairs. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing here? And he's like, this is my trainer's house. What are you doing here? And I went, you train him? And he went, yeah. And I went, bullshit. And he went, I have a ring in my backyard. Want to see it? I went, bullshit. He's like, grab your beer and follow me. And I went, okay. I get my drink. I walk in the back. I walk through, like, because he has, like, where his backyard is down where we all came in, but there's, like, this little bunch of trees and stuff. But if you walk past those, in the other part of his backyard, there's a ring. And I'm like, wow. And he doesn't have the pads on it, the wood, the canvas, the ropes, but he has, like, the steel side rails, the steel cross beams, and the steel posts up.
The frame.
And he's like, the rest of it's in it. Yeah, he's like, basically the skeleton of the ring. He's like, the rest of it's in my shed over here. He's like, I just have enough space that I don't want to pay for a building to put this in run out of, and I can run it in my backyard, charge you guys less, and it's less of a financial cost on me, and I can more easily train students. And I'm like, that makes sense, cool. So we started talking about it, and he said, anytime you wanna try this out, you know, come on out. Who's your favorite wrestler? Jeff Hardy. And I said, Jeff Hardy. And he's like, dude, he's like, I'm with you. He's like, my favorite Shawn Michaels, but Jeff Hardy's definitely up there.
HBK is
I was like, cool.
Greatest of all time, Shawn Michaels. I'll put it out there.
Oh, dude, no doubt at all. No doubt at all.
That's my.
Here's the other thing. Lo and behold, I went back to train with Nick about 3 months later. And I went back to hang out with him, and he kind of went, you picked this up naturally. He's like, I've never seen anyone pick up the rope running like you did.
Were you real quick though? Were you an athlete growing up? Like, did you play sports growing up? Were you like baseball, football, soccer?
I played baseball a little bit when I was young, like 8 to 10, 8 to 11, like a couple of years. I played basketball from the time I was about 15 to 18. Just at a rec league. I never played for a team, but one of the things I like to do was a lot of my friends were that parkour free running stuff.
Okay.
And I didn't do that. I did a little bit of it, not as much. I can't call myself one of those, but like I was one of those kids who, if I found a trampoline or if I saw a diving board, I was immediately trying to hit it and do as many rotations or crazy flips or spins as I could. And then when I saw my friends doing the parkour stuff, they would do it, and I'd be like, well, I could bust a backflip off that picnic table or a front flip or some stuff like that. Like, I'd do that. So I was athletic, but like I didn't play sports, as it were. Not a lot. My brother Ian, he's the big sports guy. He was on travel teams and varsity teams and this, that, and the fourth when he was growing up. I was honestly, as I said earlier, I was creative side. I was music. I was writing. I'd bust out my skateboard more than I did sports. But I am athletic. Luckily I have good genes. My dad and all his brothers are like that too. I got lucky on that front. But, where was that going? Good Lord.
How you were at Nick's house and you now
that's it. We were
you have the bug. You're about to start training.
Yeah. So I have the bug. I'm about to start training, and he hands me. So
I got distracted too because I just got a notification. We just shared a thing on our page of Bobby Fulton. He just made a post saying that his cancer's gone and he just beat cancer, and we shared it and he liked it. So that's pretty dope.
That's awesome though. Yeah. Like I lost my grandfather to cancer, and Kayla lost her stepfather.
I've
to
lost
cancer.
so
Cancer
many
sucks.
people, man. So many people,
dude. My Josh, the guy I was talking about, the one who got me into wrestling, my best friend, his father passed away from lung cancer, dude. Cancer sucks, By the way, shout out to anybody who's listening that has had their life touched by that. Like, I hear you. I'm with you. I just want to let you know that sucks. And if somebody in your family's dealing with it right now, stay strong, support them, and thoughts and prayers to you. I may not know you, but whoever's dealing with it, I want you to know I'm thinking about you.
Yep.
Like that sucks, and I know it's tough, and I know it can be a struggle, but it is what it is, and I want you to know I'm thinking about you. Like, that stuff sucks. I hate it. I am big on that. Like, I'm big on trying to support everybody. That's how my mom raised me.
Yeah.
I really try to show care and support wherever I can. But so what happened was I back to the whole training thing now. Where were we? Rayburn gave me a little tip. He's like, by the way, when you run the ropes first time, because I told him I was going to Nick's, and I asked him straight up. I was like, dude, I'm going to be at Nick's on Sunday. Any tips? Because we were watching Friday Night SmackDown. I was like, any tips? And he's like, 3 steps and hit the ropes and pivot and lead with your right foot. And I remember I was sitting there like figuring out. I was like, all right, lead with the right foot, 3 steps, pivot. And I was kind of showed him what I was thinking a couple times. And he's like, no, that's kind of it. Stay with that when you go there on Sunday. And I went, okay. I start running the ropes, and this isn't me to toot my own horn because, as I said, I had a little bit of background insider info before I did it.
Yeah.
But I started running the ropes, and I'm hitting them, and then all of a sudden, one of their students, Steve, like Nick kind of nods at him and goes, drop down. And I don't think I saw it, or Steve did it without Nick saying so. I don't know. I was running the ropes. But all of a sudden, Steve throws himself down in a drop down. For anybody who's not key on the terms, the drop down is when the guy's running the ropes and you throw your body down in front of him trying to trip him. I know people see that a lot, but trying to trip you. And I jumped over him and I kept going. And he did it like 3 more times. And Nick went, all right, stop. And Ryan, or I can't remember if it was Ryan or Roy, but Ryan, Roy, and Steve were like the 3 students I started with in Nick's crew when I came in. I don't know if any of the 3 of them are still wrestling. I don't think they are. I know Steve does every once in a blue moon, but Ryan and Roy don't anymore, but I still love those dudes. Talk to them once in a blue moon. But Ryan or Roy looked at Nick and went, I've never seen anybody learn to pick the ropes up that fast. And Nick went, huh. And we started working through it. I got through my bumps.
So real quick, just to kind of put in perspective what he's saying. Now, I'd never trained a day in my life, but this is kind of my analogy here. So if you are listening and you're not smart on what he's saying here, when someone throws down in front of you and you're hitting the ropes, how he's saying 3 steps, right foot, pivot, it's kind of like being a musician and you have a cadence. So you have a click in your head, like you have to stay on track, you have to stay on time. So if someone throws down in front of you, you have to be able to adjust and then get back in sequence again to hit your rope on, and then to get your pivot back. So what he's saying is someone threw himself down in front of him. He still was able to hit his sequence, hit the rope properly, and then get to the next spot without stumbling, stumping, or losing his momentum and staying on cadence. Am I correct?
Exactly, and very well put. Like sometimes I struggle with putting into words.
Yeah, I'm an analogy guy.
Used to it. Oh no, it's great. It's great. I love that. Like and the reason I got good at this is time and practice. Mm-hmm. That was a little bit of know-how. Like, and you know, as I said, I was born athletic in my own way. I didn't play sports, but we'd run and do our own crazy stuff that kids and teens do. You know, whatever have you, just free running, parkour, flipping off of high dives, this, that, and the fourth.
Worked out for Johnny Morrison.
With my friends. Yeah, exactly. Dude, I love his stuff. Somebody said I had they made that post go around, who do I have the same energy as? And someone was like, John Morrison. But they were like, not John Morrison in WWE, but Johnny Mundo in Lucha Underground. I was like, I can dig it.
Anywhere he goes, he's absolutely a star. He's
great. Since
I have a style of wrestler. I have a style of wrestler. If I had to pick my top 6 or top 10 of all time, it's Shawn Michaels. Actually, if I had to say, I think Shawn may have been surpassed as number 1 of all time by Chris Jericho, just because he just reinvents himself so much and what he's done inside and outside the ring.
Jericho's amazing at that.
Yeah, so
Jericho's amazing. I'm a huge Jericho fan.
Jericho and Shawn,
podcast, books, whatever. I love Jericho.
Flair, Morrison, AJ Styles, Dolph Ziggler, and they're all the same kind of hybrid of one another.
I love all 6 of those guys.
Yep.
Right in there. As I said, I gotta have Jeff in there somewhere. Part of that is because of Jeff being the first one I saw, the rocker style, and then just coming out.
I love Jeff, but every time I see Jeff wrestle, I'm like, you don't have to do that. You're gonna hurt yourself, man.
You're right.
And dude, his style led to his.
He has had some of the crazy stuff. Like when he was he came back, and thank God. Like I will say, when he came back from his big issue, that Victory Road debacle with Sting, which was heartbreaking to watch.
Well, he's still going through it. He just got arrested 2 more times recently in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And by the way, a little side note on that: the fact that they used that as an angle is
horrible.
It's awful. Like that's a man's addiction, problem, and demons, and you just threw it out for everybody to see. And
you're also talking about the same company who just used a storyline of Americans losing their jobs because of financial struggles for a company, and used that into a storyline with Drake Maverick. I support.
And I love Drake Maverick. I was almost so upset to watch him go because, honestly, I found Drake Maverick when he was Rockstar Spud on TNA, and dude, his bits, his promos, and his whole because it wasn't even a full-on feud. Because half the time he was helping him, but his entire work base when he was alongside EC3. Oh my goodness. I remember I would be belly laughing at times. They had one promo where he was about to fight Samoa Joe, and EC3 walks in there, and he's all like, I'm going to die. I'm going to get killed. Rockstar Spud just I'm going to get murdered. That's it for me. He goes, no, man, you may not be big, but you're fierce. You're a lion. And by the end of it, Rockstar Spud's like, I'm a lion, I can do this. And he runs out the door, and EC3's like, he's gonna die, and just shakes his head. But I remember busting out laughing, they were money together. So no, he's a very the fact that he got that.
I love the fact that he's not fired, but I hate the fact that people are being fired and they use it as a storyline. I support WWE for their talent, but as a company, they're dog shit.
Yep.
They're just horrible. They're horrible people.
That's where I'm at these days. And it's in their actions. I support all the talent in that company. There's a lot of talent in there that I have met or crossed paths with. One way or another, whether it was for a moment or longer. For instance, Strickland, Shane Strickland. He's now Isaiah Swerve Scott there. But Shane Strickland, I bumped into him multiple times on the indies.
Also used to be Killshot at Lucha Underground.
Also used to be Killshot in Lucha Underground. You are very correct. But every time I've spoken to him, he is one of the most down-to-earth dudes. He'll just sit there and talk to you and listen to your opinion. he might not remember who I am, honestly, because we only crossed paths like 3 or 4 times. But every time we did have time to interact and, you know, talk, like it was a good conversation. And he really came off as a good dude. Ooh, there's a thunderstorm somewhere I'm hearing.
Yeah, it thundered so hard the other night. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning. I literally thought we had an alien invasion. It rumbled for like a solid 3 minutes. Like it was it felt like an earthquake. And I literally put clothes on and I went outside. I was like, I looked up at the sky like, is this it? Is this the invasion? Are we dead? Like it literally thundered for like a minute straight. It was like Godzilla was coming.
I'm telling you. Oh, me and Rizzo saw the weirdest thing out at the beach one time. Speaking of that.
Oh, here we go. UFO stories. I love it. This is taking a turn. I'm into it.
Oh, dude. Here, quick UFO story. One, I'm fully in belief, especially because, I mean, they just re-released all those footage from the CIA declassifying UFOs. But that stuff got released in 2016, if anybody was paying attention.
Tom DeLonge.
That was already out there.
Tom DeLonge was right the whole time. Just putting it out there. Long live Blink-182.
Oh, dude. And let me give you a cool little tidbit as someone who's into this. I talked to my friend Caroline, she's a good buddy of mine, and her dad used to work at NASA. And we were talking about UFOs, and one of the things that she said was, the reason that those videos were not declassified earlier is not because the government or the Navy or whoever was not willing to admit that there are things out there. It's because they didn't want our enemies abroad seeing the kind of tracking and radar technology that we have. She was like, that's the reason they didn't get declassified. It wasn't because they were trying to hide the UFOs. It's because they were trying to hide the technology used to track the UFOs that they were using. And I was like, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So, interesting little tidbit, but we were out at Ocean City. It was about 2 a.m., and we were out on the back porch of, it was a bunch of condos. It was on the 8th floor, and we were on the back porch looking out at the ocean. We went down to meet my parents. They got a little condo for the week down in Ocean City. They invited us out for a few days, just come and hang out. We were like, awesome, cool. You know, we got a show the night that night on Saturday, but we can come down after the show. We'll just be there late. And they're like, yeah, it's fine. So we get there about 1, we're sitting out, and by about 2:30, I look left, and I see this light coming down the beach. And it almost looks kind of like a reflection from afar of, like, light coming off of somebody's, like, windshield.
Mm-hmm.
But it also kind of looks like somebody is night hang gliding. Like, it looks like it's kind of glowing like light does, but it just looks like light coming through. Like, you completely see through it. It's, like, translucent. Just a body of light, and it almost looks like the shape of a bird or a hang glider, but it's at like level with us. And I see it out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, oh, it's just a trick of the light, like it's light, you know, reflecting off somebody's windshield or something or what have you, right? Like whatever.
Hold on, if you could hear me, just hold on. Yeah, we're good. Go ahead.
Oops.
Yep.
I can hear you. It's probably the storm. Maybe it's the storm.
Yeah.
But I could see this light, and I'm waiting because we're on the end apartment, so I'm waiting for it to cut whatever the light is reflecting off of. I'm waiting for our building to block it and the light to just stop, right? Well, it doesn't. It keeps going. It's about 50 feet out from us. It looks like 100 feet long, but it looks about the shape of a bird, and we're like, it's coming to it like parallel with where we're sitting, so it's flying out in front of us and just kind of like coasting down the beach. And I look at it, I'm like, what is this? Because it looks like it's like a body of light. Like, it looks like I can see through it. Like, it looks like if you were able to see like light coming down. And then it like turns and goes up and does this weird like spin. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, am I losing it? Like, what? And then Rizzo's sitting right next to me, and she goes, did you see that? And I went, oh my God, you saw it too? I was like, I'm not nuts. I'm like, what was that? She goes, I have no idea. She goes, it looked like light, but it should have cut off right there, right? And I'm like, yeah. So that's my little, I don't know what it was.
At this point, I don't even care if they stick anything in my butt. If they take me off this planet, I think I'd be okay with it.
I mean, that's what everybody was saying when the SpaceX launch happened. They were like, I bet those two guys going to space are really happy to leave all this.
My brother
like,
just joined the Navy, and he's a corpsman, so he signed up to be a medic with the Marines. And I said and I sent him a thing. I said, that moment when you sign up for the military, and if you would have held out 3 more weeks, you could have became a Jedi.
Oh, dude, Space Force.
Yeah.
Space Force. I'm like, you could have been Space Force.
Could have been a Jedi, bro. You fucked up. You could have been Star Trek. And
I might be Space Force one day. Now, I'm gonna keep wrestling. I would being Space Force. The only reason I would do it, and I
just be an astronaut character and call it a day.
There we go. Just to get answers. I just want answers, man. That's the only reason I would do it, is for answers.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, so you started training. You're.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. No, so I don't want to classify it as like backyard wrestling training, because you're being trained by someone who's legit and stuff, and there is a promotion involved with it, so you can get work in promotions. How long into your training?
But basically we were training in a backyard.
Yeah, but I'm not saying you had a legit ring. It wasn't like you had
no.
duct tape taped around a tree and you were
no, nothing like that.
Yeah. But how long did your training last, and then when did you get your first shot at working your first match in front of a crowd?
All right, so I started training, I think, in July, and I was every Sunday we were there from and I was there. I'd be there staying for the weekend. Like, I was at Nick's constantly, so we would have some weekends where it was like we'd go Saturday and Sunday from sun up to sundown down training. So we'd get like 10 hours, 20 hours in a weekend sometimes being in that ring, or watching tape or promos or whatever have you. Just, whatever part of wrestling it is, we were working on it. How to present yourself in the ring, we watch videos and we'd be like, all right, what worked? What didn't work? What did he do right? What did he do wrong? Where did they lose the audience? Or did the audience not bite? Stuff like that. Like, what pulled them in versus what did they react to? What were these guys maybe trying to do? And he'd be like, all right, and then he'd be like, all right, what's the heat? What's the cutoff? What's the hope? What's the finish? Are there any falsies? Who's the face? Who's the heel? It went from basic to in-depth in terms of video training, and he'd pick up the promos and be like, all right, we're going to work on promos. He has
look at Nick being a little Dusty Rhodes with promo class and stuff. Look at this.
Dude, he would sit there and make us cut promos, and we would all sit there and watch each other's promos. And if he'd have us, like, anybody who'd been around for, like, the students. Yeah, but like when I was a student, the people who were there were like Kindred Kamari, Steve Diaz, guys who've been around for a little bit that knew what they were talking about and could offer good critiques. So we didn't just have Nick sitting there a lot of times. Like I remember one day we had Hack Myers and Axel Rotten come down and work with us from ECW.
Nice.
We had Ruckus, who is Nick's trainer and is my grand trainer, as I like to say. But he told me, he's like, dude, tell people I'm your partial trainer, because I've taught you a lot and I'll sign off on you. So Ruckus, CZW, amazing guy. Watch his stuff. I love Ruckus. He taught Nick everything Nick knows, or most of what Nick knows, all that flippy stuff. You want to see where we got it from? Because I learned from Nick a lot of my stuff. You want to see who incepted that in us? Go look up Ruckus, of Combat Zone Wrestling. He is a beast. He's been to Mexico. He's been to England. He's been to Canada. He almost went to the E for a little bit. Like, he's been all over. I love that man. Super down to earth guy. He's usually very busy, and
doesn't. Is that Mike Ruckus?
It'd be Claude on look up Ruckus Combat Zone Wrestling, maybe. I don't know if he has a wrestling page. I know he has his personal page. Yeah. But if you look up like Ruckus highlights on YouTube, or if you look up Ruckus Combat Zone Wrestling, it should pull who he is right up. But he was in Blackout, which was their big stable in Combat Zone. Him, Black G's, Robbie Illuminati, or Marino, whatever he's going by these days. He's changed his name a few times. Joker over there. They had a lot. Alexander Colon, who's now at GCW, big guy. Their death match, he was there when that was a thing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people in there. But so Ruckus has come out to help us at times. So we were fortunate that Nick had a lot of friends that would come to, one, train themselves and get ring time, but then they would also stay and work with us. So that was cool. That was awesome. And then we would also help with the students as we got older, which helped internalize it on us further. But anyways, we were training pretty heavy from late June or early July is when I think July 7th is when I first stepped into the training ring. July 7th, I believe. And I wrestled my first show November 2nd. So not much later. So 4 months later, 4 months of training and I did my first show, which was just a battle royal. It wasn't anything crazy. I will say I could do a shooting star press from the top rope. So the promoter let me hang in till later on, like the way they put it. He goes, I want you to stay in late. You're going to do a star press. I'm going to roll out of the way, and then I'm going to toss you. But that'll get you over. You'll be able to do a cool spot, and you'll get a lot of time in there to get seen.
Mm-hmm. What company was this?
That was at ACW, Adrenaline Championship Wrestling down in Maryland. And it was kind of one of those things. So Jimmy Dream, or James Ellsworth, is now, as he's now known, is the promoter there. I believe he's back to promoting now that he's not working at WWE anymore, or now I don't know how that works, but I haven't been there. I went to EWA before he went to the E, actually.
Yeah.
But so I was brought out there, and Jimmy would come out and do stuff with us, and he said, you have a good look, and if you could do a star press, like, I'll let you stay on if you sell. I can't remember if it was 5 or 10 tickets, but I sold however many tickets I needed. And he's like, all right, well, if you sell that many tickets, it's this much money to get. I had to get a wrestling license. I still have a wrestling license in Maryland. You need to be licensed to do it. You have to pass a physical and all sorts of stuff. We have a doctor at every single show that gives you a little mini physical at the beginning of the show. They'll check your heart rate. They'll check your blood pressure. They'll do an eye test, and they'll ask if you've had any aches or pains. So we actually get a little mini physical if you work a Maryland show.
Wow.
Yeah, so
PA you need a license, but you don't. Well, PA you don't need a license to be a wrestler, right? You don't think you need a license to be a wrestler.
No, you don't need a license.
But you need a doctor. You need a licensed promoter license to host a show, and you need a doctor on set, a doctor on show.
Yep, and you need, I believe, there are statutes that involve like fire exits and safety stuff, and you need to have like a stretcher or ability to have something to carry, like a table. Like one was like a table underneath to be used as like something to carry someone out with.
Yeah,
it was weird, but like there are some statutes that have to be met. And then in Maryland they're a little heavier. Like in Maryland you're not allowed to bleed. We have a whole state athletic commission.
I think Pennsylvania is really strict on bleeding too. I think there's no blood thing. Yeah.
Yep. We have a state athletic commissioner at each one of our shows. We have to check in with at the beginning of the show. We check in with the commissioner, and then we check in with the doctor. The commissioner checks our license, makes sure we don't have any problems and we haven't been suspended for any reason, and what have you. But so it's a little more of a thing when you're in Maryland. But we do have a state athletic commission. There is a doctor in PA. They're just not as present and involved potentially. For instance, I know that like AEW just got fined some big bucks for their match between Omega and was that Omega and Jericho? No, Omega and Moxley. Sorry, Omega and Moxley. That's what it was. Omega and Moxley for all the blood and the violent weapons and the headshots and stuff. They got fined.
Yeah.
And it happened in Maryland. So I kind of saw it coming. I remember when it happened, I asked my state athletic commission friend, who's a good buddy of mine, like, this guy Stan, I asked him, I was like, what's up with that? Like, how'd they get away with that? And to his professional, he was a true professional. He told me, He's like, dude, I love the question. I get what you're saying, and I'd love to talk to you about it. But unfortunately, I can't say anything because,
It's under investigation.
of what happened. He had to, yeah, of the nature. He had to keep it professional. Couldn't leak all that information out. But
they did a death match in Maryland with barbed wire, at a barbed wire glass table spot, and you're like, are you silly? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing, guy? Come on.
AEW, man, they're blading like crazy. It's Cody Rhodes is.
Oh, scars left and right. Plus his little headshot when he dove over the ropes to the entrance ramp.
Did you see this week? He wrestled Jungle. Like he bladed
for Jungle Boy. Yeah.
Yeah, like you just beat the Murder Hawk, and he's 7'8". He's built like Godzilla, and you beat him, and then you wrestle Jungle Boy, and 5 minutes into the match, you're bleeding like a stuffed pig. Like, come on, man. Cody Rhodes, that whole '80s Wonder Boy gimmick that he's trying to do. It's coming off so corny to me. Like, he's so talented, but like every single week you have to go out there and be like this super uber babyface and get beat up by everybody and be a bloody mess to say like, oh, I rose above it all. Like, it's getting campy, dude. Come on, change it up.
I hear you on that. I think he is really trying to get that old school style of wrestling in there, and he's really playing the old school baby face.
Yeah, that the belt lashings. The belt lashings lost me. You lost me.
Yeah.
I was like, listen, I've been beat as a kid with a belt. This dude had to be carried out by his girlfriend and all of his best friends because he got hit with a belt 10 times. Come on, man. Step your game up. I was taking belt shots since I'm 11.
All right, where were we?
So
I just gotten my debut in ACW, right?
Absolutely, yep. And it was a Battle Royal spot.
All right. Yeah, so it was the Battle Royal spot. And then the funny thing was, in the main event, it was Sicken now. He was Skull then. So Skull versus Prodigy, PTV, rest in peace. This guy, Reggie Rivers, who... great guy, great dude. He unfortunately passed away like a few years back due to a motorcycle accident. But he was like one of their top heels. He was a big guy. Muscles, came out with like Rasta music. Came out with like these. He had like these fur pants, these fur panda looking pants that I always laughed at. But you didn't laugh at this guy. It was like a 350. He made you feel like he was 300 pounds, or 300-pound black guy, just all muscle. Angry, would give you this look to you too, and like he was just intimidation. He had his gimmick down to a T.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you knew him and you were cool with him, like he stuck up for me when I got a really bad back injury one time. Apparently, he held dude up against the wall and basically. Was like, what the heck's your problem? The dude folded me in half and sent me to the hospital. And Reggie stuck up for me after the locker room. But yeah, man, he was doing this main event with Nick, Skull or Sickened, and at the time, Skull's entrance music was "Undead" by Hollywood Undead, and I could sing and I could scream, and he's like, dude, do you think that you could like sing and do that intro part and like do it live? Like we get you an audio track and you do the vocals. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. And I did that, and I came out and I got in Reggie's face, and I'm like, or Prodigy as his ring name was, I got in his face. I'm like, that's right, man, you ain't nothing. He's gonna, and picks me up and whips me into a Samoan drop. And I roll out and I go to the back. But, like, that was my first event in the business. I came out, I did a Battle Royal. I made it to the fifth spot. And I came out, sang my trainer and my future tag partner out. And I got attacked by his opponent. And eventually I went on to win the match.
Yeah.
But, so it was a cool first spot. A lot of times your first spot isn't huge. As you're coming in, you kind of got to work your way up from the bottom of the totem pole kind of deal, which is what I had to do. And I understood that. And as I kept going. It wasn't until March of that next year, so November 2nd was that match, and I'd do battle royals and some small stuff here and there, and this, that, and the fourth. It wasn't until that at March of that year, the next year coming up, was my first singles match. My buddy, one of our friends was supposed to be in the match. He couldn't make it, and I was on hand. I was on hand for a match. It was supposed to be Eric Chappell, another guy, rest in peace, another good dude who was gone too soon. But this was at 1PW in Delaware. It was supposed to be Eric Chappell versus Aaron Shadows, who's one of our members. Aaron Shadows, also outside of wrestling, served in the military as, I believe it was reserves at that time, but he had like training and a weekend stuff he needed to get done, so he couldn't make it on time for the start of the show. So they were like, all right, you're doing it. I was like, what? They were like, yep, you're going to do your first match today. I was like, am I ready? They're like, you're ready, dude. Stop getting nervous. So I did it. Chappell helped me through it a lot. And like we called it, we're talking about it. And I remember at the end of that match, it was face versus face, and he basically did the veteran versus the green guy coming in. But at the end of the match, I remember I'm laying there. Like,
you might have to adjust your phone a bit there. You're getting that weird feedback again.
All right. Oop, there we go.
There we go. Yep, much better. Thank you.
All right, cool. So we do this match, and he tells me I'm laying there in the ring, breathing, fighting for air, because I'm like, ooh, because it was a gym in March, and it was hot as anything. It was end of March. It was getting warm for some reason, but I'm laying there, and he comes over and like stands over me and points down. He goes, "That was awesome. Stay right there. I'm gonna come get you." And I went, "Okay." And he picks me up and he's like, "Good job, man. Now get out of my ring." But like, he put me over in front of the crowd, and that was really cool. But that was my first match, and I remember after that, I got taken to a couple different shows with people. I did a tag match with ACW again, and that was alongside Nick. I did a singles match versus Louis G. Rich, who brought me along, and that was another big match. But like once I did that first one, it started rolling. And I started really getting going with everything, really started picking up on it. And we were tagging in Delaware, we were tagging in PA, we were tagging in Maryland, we were tagging in West Virginia. Like, me and Nick were going all sorts of places and getting really good reactions. And it was awesome. But as you and I talked about earlier, one of the things that I started to notice as we went places was, it was always, man, it's Skull and Riot City's Most Wanted, and, you know, there's Skull and his tag partner, or there's Skull and, the other guy in Riot City.
It's Skull. It's Skull and Seth Rollins.
Yeah, exactly. Skull and Seth Rollins.
Andy Hedder gets all the time. He'll come out to the ring and they're like, Matt Hardy.
Oh, dude. And did you see that he dressed up like him and took a picture with Lita one time?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I love
when Matt Hardy went out with the couple like 2 weeks ago at AEW, and he came out as Spot Monkey Matt Hardy with the kick pads and and stuff. Someone on our page tagged Andy and said, "Holy shit, Andy Hedder's on AEW Dynamite tonight."
That is hysterical.
Yeah.
Oh no, I love Andy. Andy's a real good dude. I haven't had the opportunity to really mix it up with him yet. I'd like to sometime.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love, like, Andy and I've been talking about that for a while because he's good friends with Rizzo. He knew, like, that's one of the funny things. When I met Rizzo, I was alongside Nick, still doing the Riot City's Most Wanted thing, and I met her up at SWO. Her brother, his name was Hayne when he was working. He's no longer working. He retired. I think for good this time. He's had time where he's like taken off to get healthier and come back, or get
Recover
himself
his body.
refocused and come back. Yeah, but I think this time he's probably done. He's in his 40s now. I think he's like, I'm over it. I did my thing. I had my fun. But he was booking at the time, and he had booked Nick and I, or Skull and I at the time, Sick and I, to do Riot City's Most Wanted there with our manager, Crystal Lynn. She was Siren at the time, but it was the three of us. And we came up, and we did a match, and they really liked us. And I met Rizzo that day because I guess Hayne couldn't be there. He was still at work and getting some stuff figured out. And she really helped us get settled in as the new guy. She kind of told us what we were doing, helped us out. And then we just kept talking over the next few months as we did matches for SWO. And we went on our first date. Now me and Rizzo are dating.
Nice.
And she is. But so, like, whenever anybody shows up to a show, I just want to put it out there. It's funny. And we talked about this earlier. I'm always like, oh, yeah. They're like, okay, you're Jason Drake, and is this your manager? And I have to kind of let people know because, yes, she is my manager. Yes, she is my girlfriend. But there's a lot of guys out there who bring their girlfriend into the business, and they don't get any training or anything. And she's kind of like, I've been doing this for 12 years now. I'm your vet. So please, like, let people know I know what I'm doing. I'm not just there to look pretty. I can actually do spots with you and be a part of the match.
She's a sensational Sherry.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, she's
So
that.
You were the
that,
Shawn Michaels
like,
coming into your solo career, and you need your sensational Sherry to give you that push.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. I didn't super kick Sicken through a barbershop window though. You know?
Yeah.
We had it was a much more amicable kind of like, I'm gonna go do my thing. You keep doing Riot City. Like,
yeah.
And eventually I reached that point where I needed to make my own name. I needed to find out who I was. And even Rizzo was kind of agreeing. She's like, I get it, but she's like, you're going to keep getting called like, Nick Jr. all the time, or Sicken Jr. And our friends would make that joke too. So I knew fans were kind of seeing it a little bit that way, and I kind of noticed. So I was like, I do need to separate myself, make my own name. I've been, when I came into the business, I immediately came in under Nick's wing as a second, as the manager, and then also as a member, but I needed to form my own. So I went out to a company called Eastern Wrestling Alliance, which was another Maryland company, still around. Both them and Adrenaline Championship are still around. I know Nick's over there still. And I'm still at EWA. But I kind of said, dude, I need to get away from like just Riot City. I need to find my own thing. I want to do this. And he was like, I feel you and I understand where you're coming from. So he said, if that's how you feel, if that's what you think is best, then cool. And I went, all right, cool. So I went and did that, and I started to find out who I was as a solo. I went from working tag matches all the time to working singles. As I said earlier, I didn't have anybody to rely on anymore. I had to learn for myself in that ring. And I think that's really a big part of becoming a wrestler, is finding out who you are in that ring, finding out you by yourself, and your personality. Like, my promos weren't Riot City promos anymore. They were Jason Drake promos. My matches weren't structured to feel like a Riot City match. They were structured to feel like my match. Mm-hmm. I found out who I was, and that was important. And I've gone back to work with Riot City since then. And, we run some shows as Riot City's Most Wanted. And then if I go elsewhere without them or they're doing other stuff, I come out as Jason Drake, the handsome devil, Jason Drake.
How did you land? How did you land Jason Drake?
Okay, so the first name I had when I was in Riot City's Most Wanted, as I said, originally it was just me, Holly, and Nick. Then it went to me, Skull, and Aaron Shadows, and then it went from the three of us to that and Matt Wild, and then I left, Aaron left, and Vic came in. So that all happened. But while I was in Riot City's Most Wanted, the name they gave me, or the name we settled on, like, he had Skull, you had Aaron Shadows, you had Matt Wild, and I was sitting there, I'm like, I need a name. At first I kind of wanted, like, an identity, sort of like nicks where it was like a word. I kind of threw out, I think, Whiplash or Reaper or something, like a couple different names. He's like, those all sound done. And he's like, what about Jason Scythe? And I was like, I kind of dig it. It's got the alliteration, Jason Scythe. Like, you know, it's got a little bit of that. I like that as an English major. I was like, I can rock with that. If that's what you think is good. He was my trainer, so I kind of took him at his word. I was like, that's what you think is good? Cool. Well, when I split from them at ACW, they were originally splitting me at ACW to make me run my own gimmick, and I split and then went and did my own thing in EWA. Nick still wanted me to be Riot City, but I was like, I kind of just want to get away from Riot City altogether. Like, I don't want to feud with them. I want to be my own this. So we did that, and I came up with the name Jason Drake because Jason Todd and Tim Drake, two Batman Robins, the Red Hood, and I'm pretty sure the other one became Red Robin in that, but I always loved the Robins.
Yep.
And I was like, I want to keep the Jason, but I wanted to make it seem like the Scythe thing was just a nickname that they had given me. And I even did that in my promo when I attacked Aaron Shadows, because what happened was I was walking around with Rizzo and I left them, and he kind of questioned me on it. He was like, you did this, you left us for a girl, this, that, and the fourth, like she brainwashed you, this, that, and the other. And I turned on him and I went, you know, I'm done with this, I'm done with you, and I'm done with that stupid Scythe nickname you gave me. My name's Jason Drake. How many times do I have to tell you? It's not this stupid, goofy nickname, Jason Scythe. And so I wanted to, there were two reasons for it. One, I needed to split myself off, and I felt that Scythe has a connotation that comes with it. You know what I mean? You hear the name Scythe, you get an image in your head of a darker character, or a character with an edge to him, or a little bit of like an edgy, aggressive character. But I was always like, you know, Shawn Michaels, you had Steve Austin, you had John Cena, you had these guys, Chris Jericho. The reason they were able to change their characters, like, they have names that are normal names. Mm-hmm. I was like, I can't be Jason Scythe and be like this, ooh, I'm this happy-go-lucky guy. I sound like a goth kid, Jason Scythe. I sound like a punk kid.
Or like a biker.
Or like a rock band. You know what I mean? You have an idea. So I wanted to come up with like sort of a neutral name that still kept the Jason, but allowed me to change who I was as a person without giving a connotation right off the bat. Mm-hmm. And then, as I said, I also like Tim Drake and Jason Todd, Batman's. I'm a Marvel guy, but when it comes to Batman, I'll always rock Batman.
I'm a DC guy. I'm a huge Batman fan.
There's something about the way that they like flesh out the characters in Batman, the villains. They have like all the villains. Seems like their psychoses or their characters stem from a certain psychological disorder and a background, and they really flesh that out. Yeah. And that's what I always really loved about the villains in there, is they were very well fleshed out in DC and Gotham and all that. But that's how I got that name. So I jumped to EWA. Their first match I did there was a cage match. I stopped working everywhere else, I think, at the time, because I just wanted to focus on figuring out who I was. And I went to their school for about 3 months, and then I debuted, and I just kept rolling there. They have a lot of tenure over there. They have a lot of my friends over there, guys that I'd worked with at ACW that worked both places. TJ Sykes was one. Pat Anthony was another. Rayburn was one who worked both. There was some crossover, and even Nick himself, and we had all done a couple matches there before as Riot City's Most Wanted, but I was basically told, if you're going to work here, you're not going to work with ACW, and I went, all right, cool. Well, let's try that out. I'm not going to work with ACW, and I'm going to work exclusively DWA. I'm going to really put my all into this and give it a shot and find out who I am. And I started with like trying to do the sunglasses. Everybody went, you're not Tyler, because I had like fur, not fur boots, but I had like fur lining on all my tights, and they started calling me Tyler Breeze, which was fun. I got a "You're not Tyler" chant from the fans. I got a "You're a thought" chant from the fans.
Oh boy, you should start twerking.
I remember I heard that. One of my friends was like, "You're a thought," and I realized it was him. I was like, "Oh no!" I I had to like put my head down because I started to chuckle in the ring, and I'm like, I can't break character. It was so hard not to laugh. But no, EWA has been really good to me. One of the first things they really I started out as a heel, and then they had me switch to a face, and once I became a face, I went after their version of it's like their middle title, their Intercontinental title, but what they call it is the Maryland title, and I actually like that because they only run in one state. I don't know how many companies I see run an Intercontinental title. I'm like, you don't even leave your tri-state area and you got an Intercontinental title?
Yep.
What is that?
Beautiful.
But no, they had the Maryland title, which was like their secondary singles title, which I won.
Or when they have a TV title, they'll have and they're not on like any TV at all.
Yeah, and I'm like, can you have like an internet title or something?
Like the Fight
like
TV title or the YouTube championship.
You got something. But I went for that. I had a lot of really good matches. I was getting some steam over there. People were like, you really know what you're doing in that ring. And you're like, and I think it also comes down to my personality. I'm very open to ideas. I like playing with other people's ideas, and I try not to throw my weight around when I'm in a match or calling stuff or planning, like putting stuff together, which I feel like some people do. And that, honestly, in my opinion, if you throw your weight around a lot, you don't have a good match because it needs to be teamwork out there. Like, I'm working with you, you're working with me. We need to make this performance look good.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into a feud with a guy who got the cruiserweight title, and they were like, he's top face, you're a really good heel. Would you want to feud with him for the Intercontinental, or their not their Intercontinental? Would you want to feud for him at the cruiserweight title as a heel? And I went, yeah, and it was their guy Jesse O'Ryan, who was one of their homeboys, homegrown talent, who was like just only there, and was like brand new coming in, only on his first year. Well, we went through these feuds, and I remember he told me, he's like, I learned so much working with you, being out there learning, because one of the things I told him is I want to do everything I could, and this was a tactic that was given to me by Louis G. Rich when my fourth match when I worked him. He told me, I remember, he said, whatever I do as a heel, it's my job, so that when I walk out first as a heel, no matter who walks through that curtain, I don't care who you are. If you're a face, I don't care if it's your first time, I don't care if you don't normally get over, whatever. It's my job to make sure that they cheer for you because they hate me that much.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always just like, I'm going to run my mouth constantly. I'm just going to give people crap. Like, that's what I got to do. I got to run my mouth. And I got really good at running my mouth. As an English major, I got really good at running my mouth.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, though, you run out of breath so quickly when you're screaming at the fans and the ref and your opponent and trying to do moves and getting punched in the face. You get winded so much faster when you're running your mouth. But I remember, like, I got to have fun with that. I got to really work with him. His name's Jesse O'Ryan. He's still young, but if you have a chance to check some of his stuff out, anybody listening, or you, sir, we have some awesome matches on YouTube, and EWA posts a lot of their matches, their shows. They post the full shows on YouTube.
You can send
with
those
commentary.
you can send those links, and we can link people below.
Ooh, yeah, for sure. I'll send a link to their page so we can get some traction on EWA. But they really put a lot of faith in me, and that was cool because EWA has some tenure, as I was talking about earlier. I'm gonna dig into that a little bit. EWA has like a history of stars like Rich Swann, Drew Gulak, Adam Cole,
baby,
DJ Hyde, Adam Cole, baby.
There's a meme we just put up on our, I don't know if they put it on the page, but they put it in our group chat, and it's these two like soldiers, and they're like, how do we know they're dead, or they're just not, they're faking they're dead? And the one guy goes, it's Adam Cole, and then all the dead bodies go, baby.
they did the same thing. Have you seen that one of the guys sneaking in the house, like the killer sneaking in the house, the comic, and he's got the Jason mask, and he's like looking, and he goes, like, one of them they did where it's like, Red Robin, and the guy goes, yum, and he's like, there you are.
Yep.
They did that one where it's like, Adam Cole, baby.
Dude, every now and then
But,
when my wife is getting ready to, because the only thing she does is she goes, "Hey baby, hey baby," and I don't like that. I yell at her for it. I'm like, stop doing that. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. You're ruining it.
It's not the same.
Yeah, but no. Every time I'll put up like, Alexa, play Undisputed by WWE, and then I hear and she's in the shower and she can't stop it, and then I rip the shower curtain open. And I go boom. Yeah,
I do that, but the one I always play around is I'm a Sexy Boy, the Shawn Michaels theme. I don't know how often we'll just be sitting there on the campfire.
Fun fact, that song is on Touch Tunes jukeboxes inside of bars. So if you're in a bar that has a Touch Tune jukebox, Sexy Boy is on there. And another fun fact, it's an 8-minute song. It's 8 minutes.
I work at a bar with a Touch Tune.
Yeah.
I think you just created a monster.
You want to
mess my patrons up.
Yep, you want to mess with a bar, and you don't even need to be in the bar. You can just turn your Bluetooth. You can just turn your location on and play a bar as you're like. So there's been times where we would play music at a bar and not even be in it. Nothing like getting drunk and dropping $40 on your wallet of your card and playing "Who Let the Dogs Out" 55 times in a row in a bar that you're not even sitting in. Yeah. Our Sexy Boy, our Real American, or the Can song by Star Wars. Yeah, it's a good time.
That's the best, the Cantina song.
Yeah, the Cantina song, yeah. And then Steel Panther's always a good one. Steel Panther's always fun to play in bars when you're not there. Or even if you are there, it's always fun. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so now this promotion you're working at, they put a title on you, correct?
Yeah, so I've actually had a couple there. So I kept that title. He and I feuded over the Cruiserweight title, like feuded. Like we had match after match. We had steel cage match. We had a ladder match. We had a best of 3 falls match. We've had one ladder match, best of 3 falls, a tag match where they were doing like, all right, these two are fighting each other for the heavyweight. These two are fighting for the cruiserweight. We're going to put those two on teams. That kind of deal. We did all sorts of feuds for like a year, me and him. And I remember he picked up so much. And there were times where I was able to watch his mind, like, working. Like, for instance, he had a finishing move that he beat me with twice. And he knew he was supposed to be over the 3rd time. And he's like, I threw a variation into it where I bounced off the ropes instead of just sitting on it. Like, I bounced to one, bounced to the other, and catch you in it. Because he's like, you shouldn't get taken out with it 3 times in a row and not see it coming. And I was like, dude, he is learning. Like, he was picking it up, and I was so proud of him for getting that, because I was like, wow, way to be on top of it. Mm-hmm. Without me even having to say anything. Like, he started to get these things, like, and I watched him grow as we feuded. Well, then I picked up the Cruiserweight title for him, and he was undefeated at the time. And we did a 2 out of 3 falls, and I did it where I beat him the first time, and it looked like he was going to beat me the second time, and then I headshot him with the belt. And the ref's like, you're disqualified. What are you doing? You're out. He's like, what? He's like, Jesse Orion wins. And I went, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to kill him. And then I went curb stomped him twice as he was trying to get up, because I'd already decked him with the belt. And I'm like, I'll take this qualification, but I belted him so I can crush him with my finisher twice.
Yeah.
Super heel stuff, which I had fun with, and he was like, oh, that's awesome. And like, it kept him strong, because he was going to beat me fair and square, and I had to cheat. I wanted to make sure I kept him looking good, because it was going to be his first loss won, and then he was going to lose again. Like, he was basically losing back-to-back 3 times, because they were going to break him down and then have him challenge for the heavyweight, because he was a little guy. So they're doing like a storyline.
Yeah.
Well, then he gets the heavyweight from one of our big guys, and he's a smaller guy like me. And we feuded over that cruiserweight title. And I was in the heel stable who had just dropped the heavyweight title, and they're like, you challenge him for it. You've beaten him before. What if we do a ladder match where we hang everything on the line? The cruiserweight title, the heavyweight title, everything's up for grabs in this ladder match between you and Jesse. So it was like top heel versus top babyface. Everything's on the line. And not only that, but back as far as 2010, I want to share this little tidbit. Adam Cole, baby, had the longest reigning title run with that cruiserweight title at 400, and I believe it was 92 or 98 days, right?
Hi day.
When I beat Jesse in that ladder match and I became dual champion, which he was like, dude, I'm super stoked we can do this, but like I got to be cruiserweight and heavyweight champion for 5 seconds. The cool thing was when I did that, I broke Adam Cole's almost 2-year streak as longest reigning cruiserweight champion.
It's really funny because my wife just called me, and I don't know if it came through the audio of the phone from the phone into my board, but it was literally the Undisputed Era. That's my ringtone.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, so not only have they put all three of their singles titles on me at some point, they allow, because I don't have many more. I dropped them on our most recent shows. I dropped one, and then the next show I dropped another. I had to defend both. The first show I beat Jimmy Stars from the Hellcats to retain the heavyweight, and then I lost the cruiserweight in there was a 4-man scramble, but I wasn't pinned.
Yeah.
And then we did a huge cage match with their top face, who's like this Rocky Balboa type dude, a Sly Scarpone, and he beat me for the heavyweight in a steel cage. But so they put all their top titles on me, and they let me break Adam Cole's longest reigning streak that's held up for 10 years or 9 years. 9 years. It's like they did a lot for me. They were really good. I really appreciate everything EWA did for me, and honestly, that all gave me the confidence to step out. And now I'm working at, and when it comes back, I've been. Me and Nick want to get back to Rhode Island. We were just in Rhode Island, back in the fall of last year, before all this crazy COVID-19 stuff happened.
Mm-hmm.
We were up in Rhode Island. We were trying to get back there. We've been working for 1CW. I still work at EWA, Outbreak.
Is EWA is that out of Maryland?
Yeah, so EWA is Eastern Wrestling Alliance, and that's based out of Maryland.
So
Delaware.
I found one that's EWA Wrestling and EWA Pro Wrestling. Are they the Pro Wrestling one or the EWA Wrestling?
Is the gimmick, does it look like an EWA with like a Maryland flag on it?
Hold on.
If you click into it, you should be able to tell.
Yeah, I think. Well, the one is just a picture of a ring. It looks like the arena. It looks like a really big building. It kind of looks like Hamburg Fieldhouse a little bit, like a steeple style roof. I think this is it. Yeah, EWA Maryland.
So.
Yeah, this is EWA Maryland. Yep. All
yep.
Right, we found it.
Cool. So there's that. I've been working at 1CW in Delaware, which is a good company. First championship. It's 1CW. Such guys like Grimm, who was Mr. Grimm, who was just on AEW Dark and Dynamite. He's over there.
He was part of Tyson's posse.
Yeah, he was part of Tyson's posse.
And then
There's a big plug for my dudes.
And then he was just on this week when they pulled Orange Cassidy from the crowd. Grimm was standing right behind Best Friends.
Yeah,
I got to interview him at the last Outbreak show.
Dude, I'm stoked because he and I won't throw this out there, but I know what his last gimmick is. That he was like, when he switched from that gimmick to Mr. Grimm, and he goes, I don't even know who that person was.
Yeah,
like Grimm's a good dude.
Here's a quick plug I want to say for him. So he's from Maryland, correct?
Yes.
So this dude drove from Maryland to an Outbreak show, which was in Reading, Pennsylvania, which is not an easy or quick drive. I don't know his personal situation. I don't know anything really about him, but he brought his kids, and he had a few kids with him. I mean, so taking kids in a long car ride, and he was by himself. You know, he was doing single duty that night, but brought his kids to the show. He had a great opportunity to wrestle Cortez, which was the champion at Outbreak that night. He made sure his kids were good, got them food. He sat over by their merch table. He went in, he did his match, went right back over to his kids. He literally just put on probably match of the night with the heavyweight champ, then went over and changed the diaper. Like, so this dude is grinding for his spot. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness, no.
He's got a family, he's got kids. So to see him on AEW, and even just to say, hopefully he gets an opportunity, good for him. Awesome for him.
Dude, seriously. He got a bad rep for a while. I know he had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder for a bit, but like he's such a good dude. Like for anybody that doesn't know who Mr. Grimm is, like I watched this man put out on message boards that I'm a part of with other wrestlers where he's like, hey guys, I have an opportunity in this state. I have this many spaces in my car. Anybody want to ride along? Like constantly puts it out there to guys like you mentioned before. Miles Millennium is one of them.
Yeah.
I know Miles took him up on a bunch of different trips, and Mason Martin was another one. He took Mason Martin and Miles Millennium under his wing.
Mason will be on the show very soon as well.
Yep, Mason is another one of my good buddies. He started out under Nick as well.
Yeah. Mason Martin he lost a lot of weight. He looked great at the last Outbreak show. Wrestled Andy Header.
Yeah, he's looking good. I'm really proud of my dude Mason there. But yeah, Mr. Grimm, I should say, took Mason Martin and Miles Millennium under his wing and took them to shows all over. He's done the drives by himself to Canada and stuff. And I see clips of him constantly with his kid. He's grinding, and he always posts about do the drives. Like, he's one guy who, people might think one thing about him, but I'll stand by Grimm. Like, he does what needs to be done, and he's helping to pull people up alongside him. He's not just leaving people by the wayside and forgetting all about him either, which is easy to do.
Yeah.
When you get that kind of stuff for some people, not him. So I do want to put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. So 1CW in Delaware, he's there. I'm there. That's another fun company I got to this year. We were about to have Lancaster have a new company for the first time in like a year or a while, running steadily there, which is cool because that's where I'm from, and I love hometown shows. We have a very big hometown grown community here. It's all about local support. So
also where Adam Cole is from. To bring Adam Cole up for the 15th time.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is where Adam Cole's from. So when we have a local show,
where does he say he's from on wrestling? His gimmick spot is well, he probably lives there now, but where does he say he's from in his thing? I'm
not sure.
Panama City, because he's the Panama City driver. So he's from Panama City. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Panama City playboy.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep, I remember watching him do that in Combat Zone as a Panama City playboy. He'd always get up there and count his abs. I think he was working with Mia Yim back then.
Who's another fantastic...
Mia Yim was his manager for a time. Yeah. She's another fantastic wrestler. Who actually Nick was apparently buds with, and my buddy Mr. Jones from EWA is good buds with. He went to high school, I guess, with Mia Yim. So they've kept close contact since. So I'm always a big supporter of them. But yeah, so I've been fortunate enough that I've gone from, being a kid who didn't know a thing about wrestling because my mom wouldn't let me into it, to being a 13-year-old whose best friend got him into it, to watching it, to finding out that I could have my own way. And now, I've been, let's see, I broke Adam Cole's longest reign. I've been EWA heavyweight, cruiserweight, and Maryland champion. I've been PPW tag champion. I've met so many people. I've met Kurt Angle. I met Scotty Tuhati. I met Matt Hardy. I met wrestling has given me a lot that I'm very thankful for. Wrestling helped me, gave me, I guess, my family here now. I've got a little girl that I'm basically stepdad to. And her mom, Kayla Rizzo, who I met with wrestling, and now we're partners. We travel a lot of places. Eclipse is another wrestling place we just went. We got to work our buddy Kit Rath, who's a great talent.
We'll be on the show as well soon.
Awesome. There we go.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so we were actually, he and I were supposed to go back at it, I heard, and that show got canceled, and I was frustrated because I was ready to go. We only got 7 minutes, and he and I had never gotten in the ring together. And they were like, man, that could have been match of the night. You guys, and I was like, dude, that was nothing. I was like, give me 15 minutes with him and let me have some real offense. I was trying to put him over.
Yeah.
Because he was advancing in the tournament or whatever. I was like no. Like, let me. I was like, let's really, like, give us some time where I can work a hope spots and get stuff in there. We can really go with this. Watch us have some fun. Like, I know, it's one of the, like, you can really feel who you're meshing with, but, you know, I've made so many friends throughout this that I look at like family in wrestling. I've met so many people. I've traveled so many places. I have so many awesome memories. Literally, Nick, like, I have a second mom kind of because of this, because Nick's mom looks at me like a kid.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I know we talked about this where you have a lot of younger fans that listen and who get picked on maybe for like wrestling, and, you know, are kind of wondering, like, or looking for like-minded people to kind of support what they're going through. So I guess my big thing on that, I know you were talking about it earlier, I've dealt with anxiety and depression. I was diagnosed with anxiety when I was 11 and depression when I was 18. So, like, me, you know, the bullying, all that, like, I get it. And my mind can take those criticisms and turn them into even bigger demons than they are. So, like, I understand, you know, getting picked on, it's tough. Being a wrestling fan sometimes is tough. And holding on to that dream for anybody who wants to be a wrestler coming up, like Anthony was talking about, to all these, you know, for all these younger crew, younger kids listening, dude, chase your dreams. Don't worry about what people say. Like,
once you finish school, you'll never see those people for the most part ever again. It's such a short blip.
So,
it's such
like,
a short blip in your life. Like, it really is.
It is. It's a blip. It's a blip, and even then, like, literally my best friend today was who introduced me to wrestling when I was 13. Like, the friendships, the people you can make, like, and by the end of the day, like, the people who are going to judge you for what you like and your interests, you don't need them around.
Nope.
The people who support whatever you like because of who you are as a person, who you are and your personality and how you treat others and how you treat the world around you, those are the people that matter. The people that don't like you because of your interests or what your hobbies are, that's not cool. That's not right. Like, you know, okay, if you were interested in going out and hurting people, maybe we'd have, like, a different story. But, like, liking wrestling, liking a certain kind of music, liking movies, dressing a certain kind of way, like, that's stuff you shouldn't get made fun of for, honestly. Like, you need to wake up and realize what's important on the inside, and if the people making fun of you can't do that, hold on to your friends that recognize that. Hold on to your friends that are there. Hold on to your friends that you like wrestling with. And if you want to be a wrestler and that's your dream out there, dude, by all means, chase that dream. Like, I've been on a stage for music. I'm writing a book. But a lot of the confidence I got as a person was stepping in a ring and I found out so much about myself as a wrestler. You take criticism, you get praise, you learn to kind of take responsibility for yourself and what work and effort you're willing to put through versus what you're going to directly get in your career. There's a lot. Turns work ethic, you know, standing up for yourself, courage, all that stuff. You learn a lot. So wrestling has given me so much, and anybody who's a fan of it, don't listen to people when they tell you it's goofy or it's nerdy or it's dork. Who cares? Mm-hmm. Who cares? I bet, and the funny thing is, I bet you any of those people would not walk up to a guy ripped like The Rock and tell him he's a nerd. Like, you know what I mean? These are
just
dudes.
Take it from The Rock. It doesn't matter what you. Like, it doesn't matter what they think.
It doesn't matter what you think. Yeah, like, these are guys, and honestly, like, you look at people like The Rock, you look at people like Stone Cold. If you hear them talk and you watch the way they react to the world around them, these are some of the greatest people in the world. Some of the greatest people in the world, like, mindset-wise, ethic-wise, work-wise. The dude, I watch The Rock. He's a wrestler, but as a personality, as a person, he is an inspiration to me. Like, in the gym, daily motivations, getting out there busting my tail. This is all stuff that is taught to you through wrestling. So, like, there's a lot that you can get from it. And I
pro wrestling has influenced everything. Like, professional sports. You can't look at a basketball game, hockey game, a football match, anything, and see where pro wrestling has influenced it. Pro wrestling influenced mixed martial arts. It influences television. Pro wrestling has been a huge influence on a lot of different things. So to say that it has no place in pop culture, has no place in the world, you're just kidding yourself. But I think that's
seriously.
I think that's a good place to wrap up there. I want to thank you so much, Jason, for the time. This is an open platform. Anytime you ever want to come back and if you have something going on, once everything goes normal, you said you're writing a book, anything like that, this platform is always open for you to come in, hang out. You always have your support here from Tornado Tag Podcast, man. We love you to death, and I can't wait to see you again in a live performance.
Dude, I appreciate that, utmost. As I said earlier, like, I want to do what's best. Like, you are giving me a platform, as I said earlier. We talked about this before we got on here. I wanted to do this because I wanted to help you guys promote, and you helped me promote. And I believe in that strongly. Like, working together to get our names out there, to get people's hobbies, to be like, support your friends. I'm a big believer in that. I was taught that in the music industry. There's a lot of camaraderie between the bands, getting people on shows. I see that a lot in the wrestling industry. There's some tearing each other down, but I don't see that. And this is one of the good podcasts, people. So keep listening to this. I have a lot of friends from Talk with Anthony that are going to be on this thing. And the next one after this is going to be my trainer and good friend who I talked a lot about here, Nick Taylor, a.k.a. Skull, a.k.a. Sicken, who has been all over the place. So do not miss that one, guys. And but seriously, dude, thank you for having me here. It was fun. I hope that I get to see you at a show soon. Even more so, if you want to do this anytime again, once all this COVID stuff settles down, I would love to come do it in person. Maybe bring Rizzo, and we'll have like a fun time, drink a couple beers, have some fun, have some laughs, and do another good podcast.
Once
again, dude, thanks for having me.
All right.
Thanks for having me. I will let you get on to Sicken, so you keep on rolling with your backlog,
I'm recording 3 podcasts today. I'm a busy dude. But so
dude, you are a busy dude. This was fun, man. This was seriously fun. I like it. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to talk with you and get to know you better, dude. I can't wait till we actually get to hang out again in person. Okay?
Yep, that'll do it for Tornado Tag Podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.